All right, race 6 is the Royal Randwick Guineas at Warwick Farm, sponsored by Highland Race Colours. It's a Group 1 event for the 3-year-olds. Let's run over the mile.
Alrighty, it's the done deals at $8. Tatra's at 26. Poissy, he's 320 to 310 at Luxbet. Furlax $13. Tougher Than Ever 11. Sacred Falls 11. Rebel Dane 310. Ashcan 61. Proverb 35. Solemn 71. High Shot 61. 201 Casino Swoop. And Shawano $151.
Oh, mine, I know.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Evans. I've got this down to a race in 3. Look, past year it was pretty well documented that he was going to take a fair bit of improvement from the run first up, but his late sectionals were really ordinary. Really, really ordinary. And for a horse of his class, he shouldn't have gone that bad over the last couple of 100 metres. The fact that he did, to me, and this is just to me, says 2 things. One, he was really quite unfit, in which case that testing run on a heavy track first up over 1400 metres has huge concerns for me going to a mile second up just 2 weeks later. Or 2, the horse isn't 100% right. He might just have a niggling issue, I don't know. But the way he went to the line first up, I didn't think was very good at all. I think Rebel Dane's a good bet. I've got Rebel Dane, It's a Done Deal, and Sacred Falls. It's a Done Deal. I thought his run was better than Prasy's first up. I know he was entitled to finish off and all the rest of it. And I know he's a big risk around a circuit like Warwick Farm, but
Blinkers on.
He's got the blinkers back on. He was unbeaten.
Blinkers on for the first time.
Blinkers on for the first time. He was unbeaten until he went to Melbourne, and the horse that beat him in the Vars was Super Cool. He's come out and won an Australian Cup, and then in the Derby, look, he just got too far back in the Derby, and I don't know if he's a 2,500 metre horse anyway. His first up run was enormous. You pointed out to me as soon as they hit the line. I think he's the one out of that race that I want to be on. And the other 2 is Sacred Falls and Rebel Dane. Look, Rebel Dane, obviously querying back out to the mile, or not back out to the mile, getting out to the mile, but I mean, he's the only one that got near Pierre second up for him anyway. And the fact that he went to that race on the heavy track second up gives me a bit more of a tick. He was already had that run under the belt, and I think that will put him in better stead here. And Sacred Falls was scratched from that race. Went okay first up. They walked in that race. That was a race that Rebel Dane zipped home down the outside and won. They walked, and it didn't suit this horse. Chris Waller's elected to scratch the horse at its next start, brings it here off probably a fair bit of work, I'd suggest. This is probably the race that this horse has been brought across from New Zealand for. Either that or the Rosehill Guineas. Either way, I can see him being pretty competitive on Saturday. There we go.
The one horse I can't have is It's a Done Deal.
There you go.
Warwick Farm will not suit this horse one little bit. Secondly, I go back, last campaign, he was outstanding first up. He really created the impression at Wyong. He took him to Wyong, went great, right? And we knew we had a pretty smart animal there. They then took him to Canterbury, and he took forever to win the race. He turned in that cracking finish first up, and then second up, he just levelled right out like a 2,000 metre plus horse. I can't get that out of my head when I assess him, especially at Warwick Farm. He can't be affording to do that here. The other factor is I don't expect this race to be run at a tempo anywhere near the Hobartville. The Hobartville, you had Mulazin and Poissy up front. This time I think Poissy gets things his own way. I'm not worried about Poissy not finding the line first up based on that. He did plenty of work during the Hobartville the whole way. And yes, he got tired late. Yes, he was big, but he'll have improved. His work was good Tuesday. From a good draw, he's going to get the soft run. He's going to dictate this time. And I think that makes him the horse to beat. Rebel Dane, there's no knock on him. There's no reason why he won't run a mile away. He found the line there the other day, pushing Piero to the limit. I do think that the firmer track possibly brings him back to a horse like Poissy a bit more than it enhances his prospects, based on the heavy track in the Hobartville. As I said, there's no knock. It won't surprise me one bit if he won the race, but I've got Poissy on top of him. The other horse I give a hope to, that I think might slip under the radar here a little bit, is Tougher Than Ever rather than Sacred Falls. He'll go forward, again in a race I don't expect to be a quickly run race. He also gets the blinkers on, as does Sacred Falls. His 2 runs have been at weight for age level. Now, I know Alma's Fury beat him, but he did beat Dan Leeholm there last start in the Apollo, and Dan Lee franked it by running well behind Shootout in the Chipping Norton. So I think his form. I think he's had a better preparation than the other horse. Put it that way for this.
Yep.
So that's why I give him a hope, especially at the what is he, $11, $12 around town. 2 at odds here. It would not surprise me one bit to see, and this is only a gut hunch, to see Ashman improve out of sight here. He's done it in the past, you know, he's just been going through the motions and all of a sudden he runs a cracking race and a decent race. Mm-hmm. Comes off the 7-day backup. It'll be his 3rd run in 3 weeks. He's a big colt. He's probably getting fitter. So it won't surprise me to see him run well. And I reckon Solomon will run a race again. I was happy with what he did first up. His condition blew out about 250 from the line. Granted, this is a much different grade to his last campaign, but go back to his last campaign. On first up, he got beaten 6 lengths in a Kembla maiden. They then stepped him straight up to around the mile at Hawkesbury, and he came out and thumped them by 3.5 lengths. Expect him to improve sharply on his home track out to a mile. He's a sneaky hope at Big Odds.
Okay.
There you go.
I think we've
But I'm on
decided
plus
the
here.
race.
I'm on
Price
plus
for you.
here. Yep.
I think Rebel Dane.